Alright, so today I am thinking I'm going to try something new. I'm just going to yap for a bit because I made a video recently on Marathon and I was kind of glazing it. I won't even lie. But today I saw this video pop up in my feed and I watched it. And I thought it was really interesting, and it also helped me come to an actual conclusion about what I've been feeling over the last few days about Marathon and Destiny and overall just like the experience of social media and all that has been. And so I'm gonna watch through this. This guy's name is Ryzen, and be sure to check them out. They do some PvE challenge content, and again, this is just their honest opinion, and so you should hear them out. Before we get into this, I am live pretty often over on Twitch. I'll link that in the description. We've been working on Solo Master Sunder Doctrine. We're going for the record time, and so if you want to pop in there, we're live pretty much daily. Yeah, if you want to talk about Marathon, if you want to talk about Bungie, I'd be more than happy to hear what everyone has to say.
What is going on, everybody? I hope you are all having a fantastic day, and thank you for clicking on this video. If you are new to the channel, you may not know I have focused a lot of my content on this channel on Destiny 2 PvE, mostly playing solo and doing solo PvE challenges, and that is really why I wanted to make this short rant video about Marathon, which finally had official gameplay released for it the other day. As someone who has played Destiny since the release of D1, barring a few years break that I had while going off to college, Destiny has been a constant in my life, even when I am not making or posting any videos about it. It is, and probably always will be, my absolute favorite game. I always find myself coming back to it. At the moment, I have over 2,600 hours played on the PC version of D2, and I didn't even get my PC until the end of 2020. Prior to that, I played around 800 hours of D2 on Xbox One, and another 800 plus hours of D1 on Xbox One as well, even though I didn't play anything after taking King, since that's around the time I left for school.
I can relate pretty heavily to this guy. Our hours are almost exactly the same.
In total, that is over 4,000 hours of my life spent on this franchise. And that isn't even counting the amount of time spent on YouTube videos, learning about the lore of the game, and just videos from Destiny content creators in general. With all of that being said, you think that someone who has invested so much of their time into a world created by Bungie would be excited for a new Bungie release. But for me...
Okay. He asserts that he's spent time in this PvE game. If you're a PvE guy and that's like adamant for you, then it could be that, you just say, okay, no Marathon for me. Like, that's fair. I don't think that there's a world in which you should stop someone from being able to have that opinion. If you're a PvE guy, Marathon is probably not for you.
That couldn't be further from the truth. And over the past year and a half to 2 years, I'd say, we've seen a steady decline in the amount and really the quality of content that Bungie has been releasing for Destiny with their seasonal content. And I would like to praise Bungie for the release of Final Shape, because in general that was a fantastic expansion in my eyes, and it did a fantastic job of concluding the Darkness saga.
Okay, yes. So the past 2 years of Bungie, or more specifically the past 2 years of Destiny, right? Been some weird times. We had a great expansion with Witch Queen, but then Lightfall comes, and you have all these streamers. We have this huge reach for a second, and it's just a misdelivery. And even though Lightfall itself grosses pretty well, the future years, it's kind of a decline, and then there's this peak at Final Shape, and after that, it's worse than it's ever been, right? And so that's what he's talking about here. That with Destiny 2, let's look at the past 5 years. And so these are the Google search terms. A lot of people go to Steam when it comes to statistics. But I also like to look at search terms because this is talking about things like Google, it's talking about things like YouTube, because it's Google Trends, and this is an overall interest. And you can see 5 years ago, a lot of these major peaks are expansions for the game, right? And so we have things like, let's see, 2023. This would either be Lightfall or Witch Queen. And then right here is Final Shape. And look at this before, and look at this after. And just this short period, look at this. You have this weird relationship of, okay, the game's at its highest high, and all of a sudden, we're down in the dumps. And this is kind of what happens when you make a game have its kind of end game moment. It's Infinity War, you could call it. Is that afterwards, it's kind of hard to pull in a new audience, right? And so you have this huge climax, but then afterwards, it's kind of lacking. And all of a sudden, like, people are kind of like, well, I feel like I should just be done with the game, right? Like, people will see the expansion, the trailer for it. Oh, it's the final expansion. The Witness is finally here. I want to go play that game, but the majority of them are not the hardcore PvE players. They might just come in for the campaign and then dip out entirely. And that's a real problem for Bungie, and a real difficulty for Destiny just as a game, is that it had its Infinity War moment, and now it's kind of just being, its budget is the same amount that it's making. In other words, they're not going to hire more employees than this game is worth right now.
But all of the episodic content after the initial release has really been so uninteresting to me as a player. It has really hurt my ambition to play the game at all.
Yeah, yes. And so episodic content, again, the Infinity War, it's done. It's the same problem with Marvel, right? With why the new Marvel movies, they don't seem to ring the same. You know, you don't really know what it's building up to anymore. In fact, what would make more sense for Bungie if they wanted to do another major storyline, as cringe as this would have been, is to have some sort of hint towards the winnower in the Final Shape. And, you know, maybe they're not wanting to do that at all. Maybe they're kind of just wanting to keep Destiny on the down low. But right now, as far as story goes, we're just like taking out the trash. We're cleaning up the aftermath of the Final Shape. That's all the episodic content has been. And the most exciting part has just been the Hive Pantheon, to be honest. And the whole complication of what that has been like. And just because it's been overall a cool story, but it's also hard to tell where the significance is.
Now, Marathon, Destiny, or Bungie's new IP, finally has its release date. Bungie finally showed off some gameplay for this project that has really been lingering in the background for years at this point. And as a hardcore fan of Destiny, it is hard to harbor anything but resentment for this game, even though I know I really shouldn't have any. I know that there are two completely different teams working on Destiny and Marathon, but deep down, it still feels like Marathon is taking away the spotlight from my favorite game, and giving us nothing in return, really. I don't know how you, the viewer...
In a sense, if Marathon does well, there's a guarantee that some of that audience will come from Destiny, and that Destiny will be hurt to some extent. But Destiny will always receive funding as long as it's got an audience, right? It may not be the same funding as it has been like in history, but that's just going to be the case. Unless we have like Azracross would say, unless there's a Destiny 3.
Working on Destiny and Marathon, but deep down, it still feels like Marathon is taking away the spotlight from my favorite game.
Deep down, it still feels like Marathon is taking away the spotlight. Okay. Here's my problem with that. When you pay for Destiny 2, when you buy an expansion, You pay to own the game, the product. You don't pay to own the company. And when the company decides that they want to go their own path, it's not on you to decide whether they do that or not. And so what I'm trying to get at is that people are kind of going at Marathon. They're taking these negative takes to Marathon and they're over exaggerating them. And I'm not saying that there isn't some real negative feedback that's being given, some truly even constructive feedback that's being given. I'm saying that the majority of it is trying to kill this game almost before it's even started. And there's a chance that if you have Destiny on this back burner, and then you also take down Marathon, that you will just take down the majority of Bungie.
And giving us nothing in return, really. I don't know how you, the viewer, feel about the concept of Marathon as a whole.
They don't owe us anything other than what we pay for. That's my take. You pay for Final Shape, you get the Final Shape. They say they have expansions coming, you pay for those, you get those.
I don't know how you, the viewer, feel about the concept of Marathon as a whole, but I can tell you exactly how I feel from my perspective. For me, I am extremely uninterested in an extraction-based shooter, especially ones that sprinkle...
Extremely uninterested in an extraction-based shooter.
Ones that sprinkle hero shooter aspects into it, because I'm not a fan of hero shooters either. And I truly do not understand who this game is really even meant for at this point. I don't believe hardcore Destiny PvE players will want to even experience a game in this genre, but I guess I could be wrong about that. But in my mind, I don't feel like this game will pull many extraction shooter mains away from their primary game either, because when I think of people who play extraction shooters, I think of people who like more grounded or realistic gameplay, such as Escape from Tarkov.
Here's the way I see it with kind of the audience that it's targeting. One of which is the more puzzle-centric audience, which is something that Destiny definitely does well with, and something that the ARG, whoever kept up with that, did fantastic at. And so one side is the puzzles, because we know that they're keeping that on the down low, and we know that those are for sure going to be a heavy part of the game. And I think for the other part of the audience, he is right in saying that it's not necessarily going to take the interest, or it's going to capture all of the people who are extraction people. Like, oh, this is what they were waiting for. No, I don't think the Tarkov heads are going to be, oh, wait, finally Marathon, I can get off this game. There will be a few, but it definitely won't be all. And so what it comes down to is the target audience at the end of the day are just people who think that the game is going to be fun. Like, do you see these trailers and do you think they're fun? Right? Like the target audience for Fortnite, they weren't targeting the battle royale audience. They were just targeting people who thought that looked fun. And I think that this whole idea of also extraction shooters is horribly misrepresented. A lot of the time it's described as something with no progression, when really that's not the case. And instead it's that you're trying to progress, but the game is almost actively stopping you from progressing, or making it as difficult as possible. There are maps that are incredibly hard to survive, that you need to have loot, and in order to get into this map, and maybe there's secrets in there that you want to be solving, you need to have really good loot, and so you need to go extract on this easier map with really good loot, and that just to have a chance at this harder map. And that's where the stakes come in, and that's where also progression comes in, is that you really want this thing, and you can progress towards this really difficult goal, and to do that, you have to live for a very long time against the odds, and that's also what gets the heart racing, right? And so when Fortnite first came out, it was really able to give you that heart race effect. And I'm really hoping that Marathon is also able to give that full heart race effect. It could go a bunch of ways.
I feel like maybe Bungie was coming at it from the aspect that the main target audience would be people in the Destiny community that regularly play PvP and have fun in that. but I'm not even sure that slice of the community at this point is welcoming to this genre either, because of the lack of content that Destiny PvP has seen in the years. Maybe they feel resentment towards this game as well because they're not receiving anything. I really have no idea at all on that front though, because I don't follow D2 PvP. I don't really enjoy it, so I don't pay attention to it that much as a PvE player. So really, I just wanted to make this video to rant a little bit. And if you clicked on this video and got this far into it, I want to know, are you someone that is interested in this concept? If so, I really want to know why. Because at this point, I really don't understand who this game is being made for, especially in a time where hero-based shooter.
If we look at the timeline of Bungie, they've been working on Destiny for a very long time, right? And any game developer would know that working on the same project for a long time, it gets very exhausting, even if it's something with the amount of variety as Destiny. And so what they were doing is that they were probably writing up this roadmap for Destiny. And okay, we have this Light and Darkness saga, and once it's done, right, this Infinity War, we're going to need something, because we don't know for sure where Destiny's going to take us there, and we don't really have a concrete plan. And so what they do is they make Marathon, and for a while it's just under the wraps, and they actually get some really, really professional people to do it, people who are known for very, very successful games. And they put a lot of money into it. They put money into dedicated servers, into Fog of War, into anti-cheat, and it's an expensive project because they have faith in it. And no one in the Destiny community seems to be having faith in it. Instead, they seem to be trying to tear it down to the best of their ability.
Other than Marvel Rivals, because really that's the exception to the rule, are struggling for a consistent player base, considering people in general are pretty much done with the hero shooter genre. And why are they making another hero shooter in the most unforgiving genre possible while alienating?
One of the things that I often draw a comparison to with Marathon is Valorant, because one of the heads of Marathon's team actually came from Valorant and had a pretty significant role in Valorant. And I see some similarities in the ways that both of them were created, honestly. You could even just take the example of the alpha keys that were given, right? To get into Valorant, you had to watch through Twitch in order to get access to the beta. And it basically made it the complete front page of Twitch for a while, and the same case was for Marathon. Is Marathon did really well on that gameplay reveal weekend. And so you look at these different charts. We have Marvel Rivals right here. Here's one hero shooter. And you have release, and then you kind of have, this is like the beta, and then it goes down, and then here's the release, and then there's a drop off. This is typical, right? You see this in every game. This is where everyone's trying it, and then this is where you actually find the core audience. And you also have Valorant, which, I mean, sure, it's not consistent and there are dips, but it's not dying, right? You could say that this is maybe a little lower, but supposedly, if this pattern continues, it's going to just go back up again. And this is in large part due to their the way that they release content with their acts and their seasons. And then you have Overwatch, which this is kind of more of a case of a hero shooter actually dying. But it's kind of just been a slow burn for Overwatch, honestly. Like, they had this huge peak where Overwatch 2 started, and then like basically everyone dropped off pretty quickly. And so those were just some charts, because I don't think that it's necessarily just that hero shooters don't have potential. I think they do. I think they just need to be done right. It's not to say that it's an easy genre by any means.
They're one franchise that had a consistent player base before they ruined it. And like I said, I just wanted to rant a little bit because I've seen the decline of Destiny, my favorite game, over the past couple years. It really makes me sad. I know that there's Frontiers is still coming out, but it really feels like Marathon is taking a lot from Destiny, which is Bungie's only major IP at the moment. And it really, really upsets me because it is my favorite game. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
The concerns are very valid from the Destiny community. It sucks to be in this phase of Destiny. There's even been some scary moments within this last year, but I think taking it out on Marathon is really just about the worst thing you can do to Destiny right about now. I think the best thing you can do is that if you don't like Marathon, choose not to engage with it. Just don't engage with any Marathon content. You don't need to say anything positive. You don't need to say anything negative. If you're just a Destiny person, just leave it be. But if you were actively going to anything Marathon related and trying to drag it down, that is just an incredibly toxic behavior to be doing to Bungie right now. I really am hoping for all the best for Destiny. I do love this game. I really do think that Destiny does have something special, but I think the same about Marathon. But I think that just about wraps everything up. That's going to be the conclusion of today's yapping. And so, again, Twitch in the description, and take it easy, everyone.